Hey everybody, how you doing? Welcome to Indivisible Chester County's Candidate Forum. I'm Phil Degg, and today we are glad to be welcoming Patricia Maisano, who is seeking re-election for the office of Chester County Treasurer. We had a candidate forum about 3 weeks ago with the row offices, and then due to some technical difficulties, Patricia was unable to join us at that event. And so we invited her back for this standalone event. So hopefully I learn how to speak again, and then we can have a good interview here with Patricia. So without any further ado, I welcome Patricia Maisano to our broadcast.
Hi, Phil, and thank you for having me.
Oh, we're glad to have you. Sorry about last time, but we got you here now, so that's really what's important. So, so how's it going out on the campaign trail these days?
Everything's going pretty well. I do not have a primary. That doesn't mean that we don't work, even if we're, not opposed in the primary. Signs went out yesterday to all the various zones in the county, and it's just going to be, my team and my responsibility. Make sure we have my Facebook, my website, all of those things up and running.
Excellent. Yeah, we have to be prepared because even though you don't have an opponent in the primary, I'm sure you'll have one in November. So
yes,
consider this a dry run for both the candidates and the voters. Hint, hint, voters out there. It's important to vote in primaries too, as well as general elections.
Oh yes.
So I would like to ask you a little bit about the office of treasurer. I'm a little bit. Maybe you could explain to me a little bit of the difference between, say, your job and what Margaret does. Did I say controller? I meant treasurer. So you're the treasurer.
Yes.
Margaret's the controller. But in a way, you both kind of control the spending and things with our tax dollars here in Chester County. Can you kind of separate those two a little bit for me and explain a little bit more about the office of treasurer?
Sure, love to. I think that the best way to start that explanation is by saying my office as the treasury, our job is to bring the money in. Margaret's job as controller, her office is to assure that the money is being spent appropriately and that they are accounting, if you will, for every dollar that's out there. So I'm to account for every dollar we can bring in and bring in as much as we possibly can effectively. And then she takes over and makes sure that it is spent correctly. That's the biggest difference between us. My office handles all the county taxes for every area in Chester County. They all come through us. We also, under my terms, we have now started bringing in municipal funds. And why we're collecting municipal taxes is hopefully to help the taxpayers save some money. Taxpayers are already paying for the township or the treasurer's office, but they do sometimes pay for the township having an auditor or a treasurer, or they may pay Keystone or Berkheimers to do that for them. But in a sense, the citizens are paying for those services yet again, and sometimes quite a bit of money. Where we're already there, we have the capability. We can bring in a little bit of money more for the county in that way, but keep it in the county. And we're available from a customer service perspective for questions or problems with a person's taxes. So that's the township piece. We have brought in municipality-wise 27 municipalities since I started. And we hope to continue to grow that, but that's going to be up to the municipalities themselves. The other things that the treasurer's office does, and wholly the office of the treasurer, is we're responsible for issuing dog tags. That may not seem to be a really amazing thing, except that those funds go not only to the state, a little bit goes to the county. And what the focus of those funds is to help us with SPCA type funding to take care of the animals within the state. We also do hunting licenses, primarily doe, deer hunting licenses. And that's a really big thing for a lot of people. It's a kind of a cult following, and it's really fun to deal with those people. And they come from all over our state into Chester County asking for a license. They also come from other states, though Pennsylvania residents get the first shot at it. Right. We do pistol hunting or fishing licenses for games, that sort of thing. And then the most important thing I think we do now, before I started, for the 10 years before me, unfortunately, the county was not actively involved in auditing the taxes brought in by hotels, beds and breakfasts in the county. And again, that may not seem like a lot of money, but we started doing it actively end of 2019, before 2020 hit. So maybe for 4 to 6 months of 2019, we were able to collect roughly $500,000 in taxes. And we were not, there are 85 hotels in Chester County. We probably audited a dozen of them, because it does take some time, and they were audited only for a year. When we come back online, we're going to be doing all of the hotels, and for a maximum of 3 years. And we've taken 2020 out of that mix. So we are anticipating quite a bit of revenue from that.
Yeah, I don't think that's an insignificant sum at all. And I know that when I travel and I look at my my traveling bills, and I see what I'm paying in the locations that I travel to in taxes, and I think it's only fair that Chester County does the same for the people who come to visit us and use our services and such like that. So I appreciate that. I think that's excellent work. I really do.
Yeah. Excited to get started again.
Oh, aren't we all? Aren't we all? And I'm sure the hotels are excited to get those rooms back at full occupancy or something close to that too. And hopefully we can see a lot of revenue coming in, especially considering the amount of debt that we have, the current commissioners have inherited from previous administrations. So
yes,
the accounting of that can't be stressed or devalued at all. So so I've already asked you that. What besides the auditing on that, what other changes have you made in the little over 3 years since you have been in office?
Well, again, I want to go back to the 10 years before me and say that one of the things that was not happening was there really wasn't a treasurer in office, attending office, or involved in the day-to-day functioning of the office. That brought a lot of problems to the office. It brought some problems with respect to staffing. There was an enormous turnover through the last 6 years, especially, and that has stopped. So we have continuity. We also had zero digital technology involved in the treasurer's office, save the system that the county has as a whole. The office itself did not at all. In fact, the deputy that was there when I came on, and others were still using paper Rolodexes, to give you an idea. So there was no scanning. We had a huge room that was filled ceiling to floor with boxes and boxes of paper that were documents, going back, some of them, to the 2000s. And we've been able to scan all of those, get those under control, protect the HIPAA security of the information within those documents, and at the same time cleared out a room that was huge, and have had that retrofitted now, and we now have a very nice conference room from that at no cost to the residents again. So we were able to get a couple of things accomplished by bringing us online electronically, and started doing more and more with respect to how we collect taxes, what our website does for people, and how they might be able to interact with us without physically interacting with us or coming to the office. We're trying to address the crisis of the postal system, which we saw a lot of in this particular tax collection year. People sending us their taxes by FedEx overnight because they were so concerned that we would not get them. And just the continuity of, can they know what they paid? Do we have the most accurate records? All of that being now digitally operated is helping us a great deal.
Well, that goes back. Let's go back before you were elected in 2017. What were you doing professionally before that, leading up to that?
Oh, wow. Well, before that, I was the CEO of a franchise, a national franchise that I started called iCore. And was all over the place. I think there's 60 offices in 60 different cities still at this time, providing advocacy to seniors and the disabled. So understanding their needs, understanding Medicaid, Medicare, another piece of government. My role there was also public speaking throughout the country, and educating medical staff throughout the country about the needs of the really most vulnerable people of our society. And I was really proud that that company went from having, it was totally invisible, truly, to Entrepreneur Magazine, for example, who registers all franchises, to within 2 years of going franchise, we were in the top 10 franchises in the United States, top 5 in senior care. So I was very, very proud of that. And it was an opportunity to really spread my business wings a little bit further, and took that from starting the business locally to growing it nationally, and an expert witness as well. So little of everything.
Aside from continuing the work with the auditing and finding untapped taxes that are owed to the county, what are your biggest goals for if reelected for the next 4 years?
I would like to continue to grow our independence, relying more on digital versus paper. Being able to reach out, for example, to the Hispanic community. Our website went online 6-8 months ago, to the ability to translate to now a fully translated version of what we have. and doing that for all the different subcategories of what we do, not just our homepage. Getting people the opportunity to make their life easier. Hopefully we can work toward being able to pay taxes more online, to get people more rapid responses online. As we grow this county, the need for that immediate information just grows and grows. So I'm still working toward that goal. And of course, it's a little challenging because we have to do that. At the same time, it interfaces with all the systems that are already county-wide, so they talk to each other and are accurate. And basically just make the treasurer's office more more reachable by the general community, more connected to our communities, and bringing a better level of customer service. And I've been very proud of that. And it has been a bit challenging in this first year of collecting taxes in the era of COVID. But we have been doing, I think, a very good job of it, and continue to extend ourselves so that the community is educated in what we do and how we can help them.
Well, I certainly applaud and approve of moving into the 21st century as far as technology goes and digitizing things. I'm going to play devil's advocate, though, here a little bit and ask you about, along with doing that, it presents a certain amount of vulnerability from those elements who would seek to do us harm and tap into that. I'm assuming you're taking appropriate steps to protect our data from hackers and such as that?
Absolutely. This county itself has an enormous team of people who are IT experts that are employed by the county, whose sole job is to keep our systems safe. So everything we're doing, I want to bring through, that needs to go through that system, and thereby gets that encryption and that oversight that the system has. So we're not trying to run an independent operation within the treasurer's office and leave our systems exposed. The county does a fabulous job in doing that just in general. So I'm really happy that we can be part of that.
That's great. Now you were part of a historic, in Chester County, a historic sweep in 2017. And you were the first wave of the blue wave. And like, I like to tell people that unlike, that car payment that you finally made that last payment on and you never have to worry about it again, this kind of success is something that we have to maintain, and we have to show up and pay that bill every year, one way or the other. So when you won in 2017 as part of the 4 row offices that swept, the Republicans in Chester County the registered Republicans outnumbered the Democrats. But then somewhere in last year, that number changed. And if what I know here is correct, what I looked up, there are currently 3,100 more registered Democrats in Chester County than there are Republicans. So the important message is, I think that, I think you would share with me, is that it's just who comes out to vote. And we need to make sure that everybody knows how important it is. Now, one of the messages that I'm seeing is a lot of people are pushing mail-in voting. And I voted by mail last year. I currently am up for re-election as mayor of Downingtown again this year, and I'll be at the polls all day long. So I'm kind of like hypocritical. Do as I say, not as I do. I'm going to vote in person. But I think that really, you'll agree with me that the most important thing is that people get out there and vote. And what do you think? Give us what's some Patricia Maisano advice to get people engaged and get them out to the polls, not only in November, but in May as well?
Well, first off, I'd like to say it took us only 219 years to attain that 3,000 person, swing for the Democratic Party. I think Democrats really need to be aware of that. It took us a long time. It didn't come easily. And all of us are, and I absolutely include myself in that. You will see on my signs that go out, my color is purple for blue and red because I am really a believer that I represent everyone. And that includes independents who do not get an opportunity to vote in the primary as yet in Pennsylvania. But I think it is incredibly important that everybody get out and vote. Everybody. And do use write-in voting if possible. Do ask for that sample ballot. We have a lot of seniors in our community. In fact, Pennsylvania is one of the top states of senior residents. So there are a lot of people who might really want to vote, but just can't get out there. Wow, having the write-in voting makes it so much easier. And our numbers prove that. And we can do this again if everybody will just vote. Do not assume that we can pull this off without you. We absolutely need you there. Be part of the success story. You were the first time. And I want to thank everybody who voted for me and for all of us that you were part of that first story. Do not lose sight of that. This is our first time at re-election in this blue wave. Show everyone that the blue wave was not a happenstance, an accident.
Yep. Yeah, I think the message is, I think most of the people who are watching this broadcast are pretty reliable voters every election anyway. But I think that as you're putting the word out to your friends and the people in your orbit, the message is vote, vote, vote. And it's been shown that in areas where they do have absentee or mail-in voting, there's been definitely higher engagement by the voter. So whatever it takes to get out and vote. And to that end, you have until May 11th to apply for a mail-in ballot, though I don't know why you would wait that long, because the election, your ballot would have to be returned by May 18th, just a week later. I understand that they're having drop boxes, but I haven't heard anything about locations. Do you know anything about the drop boxes for this election?
No, I do not. So
Yeah,
my hope is that they are as well placed as they were last election, because there were boxes everywhere.
Well, I hope they do the same. I think that's a great way to go because, as you stated, the uncertainties with our post office are still exist, and we're still in a pandemic. So a lot of people, especially as you mentioned, the seniors, are probably better off by not coming out to the polls on election day. But the important thing is that they do vote. In closing, I did discuss with you a matter of some personal, I would say, tragedy in your life that occurred. You lost your husband of many years this past December, and I never had the pleasure of meeting Dan, but by all accounts, he was very well thought of and a very successful man. And I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. Dan was an MDJ in Chester County for 26 years before his retirement, an attorney, a man who was absolutely dedicated to Chester County and the practice of law. I've received so many cards and letters of gratitude from people since his passing, and I'm very grateful for that. As we talked about, the hardest thing for me was that I lost my husband because of COVID-19. COVID took Dan. It took him very carefully and quickly. And I really want people to get out there and get their immunizations. It is so important. It's not just important to you individually, but you may be another person who could, I'm totally unaware, give it to someone like Dan. And Dan took really good care of himself. And we don't know where he got it, but he was here and he was gone in 72 hours.
My goodness. Well, I extend to you my sincere condolences again from both me and from the leadership team of Indivisible Chester County. And I appreciate you talking to us about that and getting that message out.
Thank you for allowing me to.
Well, I want to wish you a successful and happy remainder of your primary campaign season. And I look forward to meeting you out on the campaign trail as the months unfold this summer. And I've been vaccinated. I assume you have too by this point.
Oh, yes.
My wife will be getting her second shot next Saturday. I'm very, very, very grateful for that. And I think that the Johnson & Johnson pause that we're seeing right now is the system working and making sure that everything is going as safe. I don't think people have anything to fear. And I hope that people, as you say, get vaccinated, not just for their own well-being, but for all of our well-beings to stop this pandemic and let's get back to some normalcy soon. So.
Absolutely. 2 of my children just received the Johnson & Johnson vaccine last weekend, and they're here, they're fine. I received Moderna, I'm fine. There are going to be those situations where, there may be someone with some slight problems that happen. But if we look at the numbers, it doesn't make sense not to do it. It will give us all a life again. I just wish Dan had lived long enough that it had been out before this happened.
As do I. Well, thank you, Patricia, for joining us today. And I look forward to seeing you in person.
Thank you.
And again, best of luck to you and all of your fellow candidates in May.
Thank you very much, Phil. I really appreciate it. And I appreciate Indivisible reaching out to me as well. Thank you.
Take care. Have a good day.
Bye-bye.
Bye now.